have two guys who look like they eat steroid pancakes for breakfast, turning my island into Beirut!
Whoa! They tried to kill me. Sword fight.
In Chinatown, Private Detective Walter senses he's being tailed. He picks up his pace and slips a package into a mailbox before trying to disappear. But the second he steps into the street, a van barrels into him. Walter crashes onto the pavement, bleeding out as the van speeds off into traffic. In Hawaii, Navy Commander James pushes his team through brutal underwater drills. No one can hold their breath as long as he can, so he surfaces and tears into them. He's cut off when a soldier rushes over with news of an urgent call from the police. Moments later, James stands in a cold morgue staring at his father's body. He's informed that Walter was taken out by a concealed drone strike, yet James' face doesn't reveal a single emotion. Afterward, James goes home and starts cooking dinner for his family, like nothing in the world has changed. When his wife Layla asks about his day, he talks about training and casually mentions that Walter died, calling him by his first name instead of Dad. Layla says his brothers should be told, but James reminds her they haven't spoken in years, and Johnny wouldn't answer even if he did call. In Oklahoma, James's half-brother Johnny walks in to find his girlfriend Valentina packing her bags because she's ready to leave. It's her birthday, and Johnny forgot, which turns out to be the last mistake she's willing to forgive. Johnny treats life like a joke and never takes anything seriously, so Valentina has finally had enough. Johnny apologizes and promises he'll change, convincing Valentina to kiss him, but she slaps him right after and walks out anyway. A heartbroken Johnny spends the next few hours drinking, trying to drown out the mess he's made. At that moment, he gets a call from Layla telling him Walter is dead and the funeral is tomorrow. Johnny couldn't care less about attending and walks into the bathroom, rambling about his police work like it's just another day. Out of nowhere, two men step up behind him and press a knife to his throat. When Johnny turns his head, he panics and accidentally pees on their shoes. The men demand the package Walter mailed, but Johnny has no clue what they're talking about and says he hasn't seen Walter since he was a kid. They flash their tattoos to show their Yakuza and warn him he's dead if they don't get that package. Johnny suddenly drops the scared act and fights back.
Shut the fuck up!
What's up, Zuko?
Afterward, Johnny picks up a photo of his mother with him as a child. Hidden behind it is a picture of Walter, and Johnny mutters an insult at him. The next day at the funeral, James notices members of both the Yakuza and the Syndicate lurking in the crowd. He's stunned to see Johnny show up, and within seconds they're trading insults until the priest has to shut them down. After the sermon, Walter's ashes are sent off to sea on a quiet, drifting boat. Later, Johnny realizes James is now living in their childhood home. It's revealed that Walter cheated on James's mother and had Johnny with his mistress. Even so, James's mother opened her doors to Johnny, but James never forgave him because the affair shattered their family. During lunch, Governor Peter joins them since Johnny's half-sister Haunani works on his staff. Johnny makes it clear he didn't come back for brotherly bonding. He came to find out who killed Walter. James insists it was just a hit and run, but Johnny tells him about the attack the night before. The argument heats up, and James accuses Johnny of dragging chaos wherever he goes. When Johnny fires back that James didn't lift a finger when his mother was murdered, James goes silent for a beat before asking to speak privately. On the beach, the shouting starts all over again, and when James refuses to believe Walter's death was anything but an accident, Johnny flips him off and walks away. At a bar, Johnny runs into his old friend Alakai, now tied to the Syndicate. Alakai says his boss, Mr. K, wants a meeting, but Johnny brushes it off. Seconds later, he feels dizzy and collapses, realizing too late that his drink was spiked. Johnny wakes up in a room with Mr. K, who reminds him how many of his men Johnny has hurt over the years. Johnny shoots back that he did it because the Syndicate killed his mother. Mr. K tells him to leave Hawaii for good, and when Johnny refuses, he slams him onto a table and carves his initial into Johnny's neck. He gives Johnny 7 days to leave the island, or he's a dead man. Meanwhile, James meets with Detective Rennert and asks to see Walter's case file. Rennert tells him he's welcome to look, but there's nothing useful in it. The accident happened in a neighborhood where nobody talks to cops, and the only security camera nearby just happened to be broken. The department is convinced it was a concealed drone strike, so the case is basically gathering dust. James collects Walter's personal effects from the station. Inside the box is a knife and a wallet holding a ticket with a strange list of coded words. At the same time, Johnny breaks into Walter's house. He finds a gun hidden in a desk drawer and decides to keep it. Suddenly, someone else walks into the apartment, forcing Johnny to hide in the next room. Ika starts going through papers on the desk, and Johnny tries to ambush him, but Ika smashes a plate at his head and bolts. He sprints across rooftops and over parked cars to reach the street, only to find Johnny waiting there with a solid punch. Johnny drags Ika to a bar and demands answers. Ika explains he worked for Walter, who was like a father to him. Walter had made plenty of enemies over the years, and his last assignment involved a catering company. Pika explains he posed as a waiter for the catering company, but he never understood why Walter assigned him that job. Johnny declares that Pika works for him now and painfully snaps his crooked nose back into place to make the point. Meanwhile, James revisits the crime scene and studies the tire marks carved into the asphalt. He spots a security camera mounted on an adult shop across the street, so he walks in and offers cash to see the footage. When the owner refuses, James gets physical and rips out the clerk's piercings to change his mind. Later, Johnny and Ika return to Walter's house and discover a surfboard. Ika swears Walter never surfed, and Johnny notices one of the fins looks off. When he pulls it free, hidden blueprints spill out from a secret compartment. Johnny calls Haunani and tells her the documents carry Governor Peter's official seal, and she promises to dig into the database. As Pika tries to step outside, James storms in with his gun drawn, and Johnny instantly aims back. They realize they're chasing the same truth and lower their weapons, and James reveals he secured a flash drive with the shop's security footage. Watching the video, they see the van has no license plate. The driver never even tries to swerve, making Johnny certain it was intentional, though James still wants solid proof. Johnny sends Pika to gather intel on the catering company from Walter's final job before the brothers drive off together. They keep arguing while driving, too distracted to notice a vehicle waiting around the corner.
I've been a res cop for 15 years. I know what the fuck.
Gunmen lean out the windows and open fire, and Johnny floors it, only to plow through a row of restaurant tables. Their cars lock together in a twisted metal embrace, trapping the brothers inside. Johnny fires at the attacker's vehicle, but the windows are bulletproof. James steadies himself and manages to take out the shooter with a clean headshot. He tries to drop the others too, but his gun clicks empty. Johnny blasts their door open and leaps out into the chaos. He sprints down the street, firing over his shoulder as civilians scatter in panic. James finds extra ammo, climbs out through the window, and jumps onto the enemy SUV, but his rounds still can't punch through the reinforced glass. Johnny finally shoots the engine block, and the vehicle erupts in flames, flipping as James tumbles onto the pavement. At the police station, Detective Rennert tears into them for the destruction they caused and reveals Johnny was suspended from the force 2 months ago. He's under investigation for excessive force. James hands over the flash drive and urges Rennert to dig into the case, but Rennert brushes it off and tells them to stay out of trouble. That evening, Haunani gathers the brothers and shows them what she uncovered in the system. The blueprints point to a property on the east side, commissioned by a billionaire developer named Marcus, who owns luxury resorts across the globe. James flips the plans over and spots a seal reading Sacred Casino Princess, which makes no sense since gambling is illegal on the island. They decide their best shot is to confront Marcus at the annual fundraiser the next day. The following morning, James asks Johnny why he was suspended. Johnny says he shot a dealer pushing substances to kids, and for once, James doesn't argue. Then the brothers head out to the supposed casino site. Instead of a construction zone, they find a centuries-old Hawaiian village still lived in by the local community. Right then, Johnny gets a call from Pika, who says police pulled a blue van from the ocean. The brothers rush over and learn a government accountant's body was found inside. The van has no license plates, but Rennert has a list of every registered blue van on the island. The brothers try to hang on to the list, but Rennert snatches it back and warns them to stay out of it. Once he's gone, Johnny tells Pika to dig into Hayashi Imports, the only Japanese name on that list. Hours later, Pika is undercover as a waiter at the fundraiser and slips the brothers extra uniforms so they can blend in. He confirms Hayashi Imports is Yakuza owned. The team splits up to stay unnoticed, and James ends up serving Nakamura, who casually sprinkles happy powder onto his plate like it's seasoning. James discreetly swipes Nakamura's credit card from his plate and sees the name Hayashi Imports stamped on it. He smoothly returns it, pretending he found it on the floor, and casually asks if Hayashi Imports happens to be missing a blue van. Nakamura's smile tightens as he delivers a subtle threat before walking off. Meanwhile, Johnny introduces himself to Monica, who immediately recognizes his last name and asks about Walter. After Johnny tells her what happened, Monica reveals she's Marcus's wife and planning to divorce him, which is why she hired Walter to secure leverage. Without that leverage, she says she won't be safe. Not wanting to talk in public, Monica invites Johnny to her penthouse the next day. Before they can leave, armed guards surround the brothers and escort them to Marcus. He claims he hired Walter and paid generously for his discretion, and he appears genuinely shocked to learn Walter is dead, though Johnny isn't buying it. Marcus angrily denies any involvement and insists he only hired Walter to confirm whether Monica was cheating, which she wasn't. As Johnny casually fiddles with a grenade he finds on the desk, James spots a napkin hiding 2 severed fingers. Marcus quickly moves it out of sight and throws the brothers off his property. After they're gone, Marcus stares at Monica's photo, quietly wondering what she's done. The next day, Johnny arrives at the penthouse, only to find flashing lights, ambulances, police tape, and a growing crowd. A closer look shows Monica's lifeless body sprawled across the roof of a car. The official report claims she fell from her balcony. Enraged, Johnny storms back to Marcus's mansion and takes down every guard in his path as he forces his way inside. He drops several men, but the numbers catch up to him, and the guards finally bring him down with tasers. Marcus comes to see him, and Johnny accuses him of killing Monica, yet Marcus calmly denies it again and orders his men to call the police. One of the guards knocks Johnny out with a brutal kick. In jail, Johnny receives a visit from Governor Peter, who convinced Marcus to drop the charges. Peter urges him to let law enforcement handle the investigation and remarks that Walter always carried a darkness inside him. He says he sees that same darkness in both brothers and hopes they'll find in each other the support Walter never had. When Johnny is released, James is waiting and immediately scolds him, saying violence won't bring their mother back. That hits a nerve, and Johnny headbutts him before the two explode into a full-blown brawl across the police parking lot, smashing into patrol cars and shattering windows. The fight spills into the mud, where James eventually overpowers him and wins by landing repeated punches to Johnny's face. Johnny demands to know what kind of man sends his little brother away when he needs him most, referring to the day James pushed him out of his life. James insists he did it to protect him because the syndicate had marked him for death. Johnny confesses he's been haunted by the image of their mother's body and that James was all he had left. Realizing the weight of his choice, James finally apologizes. Later that night, Johnny gets a call from Valentina, who returned to his house for the mail and found Walter's mysterious package. Inside the package is a flash drive, and Johnny tells Valentina to bring it straight to Hawaii. At the airport, he goes in for a hug, but she answers by launching her suitcase at his chest instead. Once everyone piles into the car, Pika plugs the drive into his laptop and immediately runs into a heavy banking firewall. Valentina recognizes it as a cold wallet and explains it's digitally encrypted. The drive is just the key, which means the Yakuza want it to unlock someone's account. It requires a password made of 12 random words, so James hands Pika the ticket he found in Walter's wallet. Out of nowhere, a helicopter swoops in and opens fire. Johnny shoots back while James struggles to steer, dodging bullets and the wrecked vehicles the chopper drops to block the road. Valentina orders him to switch seats and takes the wheel, weaving through smashed cars with jaw-dropping precision. The helicopter eventually pulls away, but 2 gunmen on a motorcycle close in and start firing. Valentina makes a sharp turn and ends up driving in reverse at full speed. Johnny fires at them and misses every shot, so Valentina suddenly slams on the brakes on purpose.
Hold on!
As Valentina leans over to kiss Johnny in the middle of the madness, the helicopter returns and unleashes another barrage. The brothers fire back, and James lands a precise shot that takes out the gunman. The falling body knocks into the pilot, and the helicopter spirals out of control before exploding on the highway. Valentina floors it and races into a tunnel just ahead of the blast wave. Once they're safe, Pika finally cracks the flash drive. The files reveal that $12 million a year have been funneled into Governor Peter's accounts, exposing that Marcus has been paying him to legalize gambling so he can open the casino with the Yakuza hired as muscle. Walter must have uncovered the scheme while investigating Marcus's marriage, and the murdered accountant likely fed him the evidence. When Peter realized the truth was leaking, he eliminated everyone connected to it. Meanwhile, Haunani shows the blueprints to Peter and suggests Marcus may not be as clean as he claims. Peter plays dumb, claiming he had no idea, and takes the blueprints while promising to review every project personally. When the group returns home, James notices something's wrong. His family is gone. He calls Layla, but only hears her phone ringing on the floor. Panic sets in as he searches the house until he finds his kids hiding in the bathroom. They tell him Layla was taken, and James pulls them into a tight hug, assuring them there was nothing they could have done. Just then, Marcus sends a video showing Layla and Haunani tied up in his basement. His message is clear: bring the flash drive or the women die. James, furious, unlocks his weapons cache, and the brothers arm themselves with everything they can carry. That night, they silently take out 2 guards outside Marcus's mansion and move across the yard. More guards patrol the grounds, and one by one, they're eliminated without a sound. Inside, a car window suddenly shatters, drawing the guards' attention to a note taped nearby, telling them to smile. Seconds later, Johnny drops them with precise shots, while James provides sniper cover from a distance. Moments later, the mansion plunges into darkness. Marcus radios a basement guard to check the power, and the man discovers every cable has been cut, reporting back over the radio. When the guard turns around, he's horrified to see his co-workers' bodies floating in the pool. Johnny appears behind him, drives a blade into his neck, and grabs the radio to calmly tell Marcus they'll be seeing him soon. In response, Marcus unleashes Nakamura and his men. James intercepts them in a narrow corridor, and a brutal close-quarters fight erupts. The hallway is cramped, but James tears through them with relentless precision, dropping each man within minutes. One mobster tries to flee, but James tackles him and starts smashing his head with a hammer in a fit of rage. Johnny has to pull him off before he goes too far. The brothers reach the basement and free Layla and Haunani. As the women run, Johnny turns back, determined to settle things with Marcus. Layla insists she'll be okay and convinces James to stay and finish it. James heads deeper into the basement and runs into Nakamura, igniting a fierce gunfight. Nakamura snorts happy powder between shots, and when his ammo runs dry, he draws a sword. James shifts to hand-to-hand combat, then grabs a mace. He drags the spiked head across Nakamura's face, snaps his arm, seizes the sword, and drives it straight through him before forcing the blade into his face. Outside, Johnny catches Marcus trying to flee on his boat. He tackles him to the deck and knocks the weapon from his hand. The two clash in a savage fistfight, hurling anything they can grab at each other as the boat rocks beneath them. Marcus grabs a boat hook and drives it into Johnny's shoulder, dragging him across the deck. He retrieves his gun and launches into a villain monologue, giving Johnny just enough time to arm the grenade he lifted from the desk. Marcus fires anyway, and Johnny falls into the water seconds before the grenade detonates. James reaches the pier at that exact moment and dives in to save his brother. They resurface together and watch the flames consume the boat, taking Marcus with it. By morning, Detective Rennert publicly arrests Peter, ending the conspiracy. Later, the family gathers on the beach and lays out photos of those they've lost. Johnny apologizes to his mother's memory for staying away so long and promises to make things right with Valentina. Out of nowhere, Mr. K appears and reveals he never truly wanted Johnny gone. He pushed him to spark a war against the Yakuza so his own syndicate could reclaim control of the island. With his rivals wiped out, his gang stands alone again. As a token of gratitude, Mr. K hands Johnny a slip of paper bearing the name of his mother's killer. Johnny shows it to James, who says he'll stand by him, but reminds him that Walter sent the flash drive as a way to bring him back home. After a long pause, Johnny burns the paper, choosing to let go of his anger and embrace a new beginning with his family. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more recaps like this. Thanks for watching.